Welcome to the Midlife Sex Coach for Women podcast, the only show that combines a fun personality, medical knowledge, sexual counseling, and life coaching together to create unique sex coaching that helps busy women awaken their libidos, address intimacy issues, and learn how to express their sexuality for the rest of their days. Here's your host, certified life coach and sexual counselor, Dr. Sonia Wright.
Hello. You are listening to the Midlife Sex Coach for Women podcast, episode 230, I believe. Woo, 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 yay! Welcome, everybody. Today, let me just say the word of the day is laid back. It is laid back in so many ways. It's so laid back that my shirt is on backwards, just so you know how late. I'm like, what is going on with my shirt? Why does this just feel so weird? And I realize it's because I don't have my life together. And that's okay, because you know why it's okay? Because I have one of my besties here, Donna, and Donna Jennings, Coach Donna Jennings. She coaches with me in my coaching programs, but she is one of my besties. And when I talk to Donna, it's just like we just get together and shoot the breeze. We just have a good time. We just, have fun. And I wanted to continue our discussion that we're having about midlife intimacy and different seasons, like a different seasons in a woman's life. And I think it's kind of appropriate because our intimacy seasons are kind of different, in terms of when I started my intimacy journey and when Donna started her intimacy journey, but also just in general, talking about women and the different times of our lives, right? If we were to take our life and we put it into like 100 years, right? And then we applied seasons to it. You could start with the spring, the summer, the fall, and the winter if you wanted to, or you could start with the winter, spring, summer, fall, whatever order you want to do it. We'll start with the spring and the summer and then the winter, like the fall and the winter, right? So if we're just like, I know you're like, all right, Sonia, get to the point, right?
No. I'm like, my brain goes, yeah, we'll work our way to the
Well-
cold, dry, cracked season.
Which is very appropriate. It's like the postmenopausal time when you gotta do some shoveling in order to get things, working the way you want to get out the driveway, right? So we could say instead of putting some salt down on the ice, you gotta put some estrogen cream down on the vulva, right? To get everything loose and working again, right? So we could make so many metaphors. But the reason that I wanted to invite Donna Jennings here is because when we talk crap, and we have such a good time doing it. And I wanted to invite all of you for my laid back podcast where I don't have my sweater on properly and I'm choking myself and I put makeup on at some point in the day, but it's been long gone, And
The minimum requirement is that you just have a shirt on.
Right. It doesn't even have to be in the correct direction. It can be like poking up against my neck the whole time, and that's fine. But okay, if we are going back to our seasons metaphor,
got you.
And we had like spring was up into the age of 25, and then summer was 25 to 50, and if we're like heading into fall, where that's 50 to 75, and then we're gonna like be cruising down the road at 75 to 100, for the last phase of our life, right? So, so you and I are in this place where we are in our fall, right? And fall gets to be an incredible time in our lives. Like we get to decide that's an incredible time in our lives. Like some people will look at fall and say summer is over, we're headed downhill, all those things. Or some people are like I myself, my birthday's in the fall, so I'm actually partial to the fall. Your birthday's in the spring, so you might be a little partial to the spring. But I always really love the fall. I feel like it's a rich time of the year, right? It is like the time of harvest. It is the time of like the beautiful autumn. The colors are like so vibrant and alive, right? It is the time of that summer, you've officially left the summer, you're in the fall, but you're appreciating the summer and you're still getting good weather going on. And it also is a time of the year when we're gonna start to see the leaves falling a little bit, right? We're gonna start to see some things shifting and changing in the world, right?
Starting to die.
Okay, Dana, I brought you on so we would have a really uplifting conversation, but
We're
okay,
gonna
we're
get
gonna
there.
roll with it. And Donna's drinking water here. So let me just be
Just
clear. She
water.
doesn't even have wine on
Promise.
board. For those of you that are watching the video, she is drinking water. This is just her nature, and this is just how we are together. Okay, Donna, tell me your take on midlife intimacy and as we head from summer into fall.
So, first thing, so good to see you again and to have these chats. I love having these chats. And for those listening, it's a minimum requirement for us to have shirts on, but not for you. However you want to listen, have a good time.
Yes.
All right, moving on to your question. I also want to add that when it comes to midlife, sometimes you could have all four seasons in the same day or the same 10-minute period of time. And I know I'm getting some amens there. And the challenge with that is number one, dealing with it and keeping your clothes on when you're having some of those challenges and it's getting hot. But then also for your partners to figure out what season are you in and what do I do about it, right? Well, mostly just hold on for dear life and keep listening and keep loving us and it'll be fine. It'll all work out.
You know, what I think is so funny is, I'm reminded of the song, "It's Hot in Here." "It's getting hot in here, so take off all your clothes." And I can remember being in the club, and, like, it was just like you're dancing, you're having a good time, it's hot, it's wonderful, like, you're there with a sexy person, you're feeling all the vibe and everything like that. And now in the '50s, that song is like, "It's getting hot in here, I'm having the fucking hot flash, it's all over, let me take off my clothes." Not for the purpose of looking sexy,
Yeah,
but for a purpose of survival.
just survival. We're just trying to get through the next 10 seconds. Maybe we could ride this out for
I
90
think
seconds.
that right there says everything. I think that right there summarizes, like, if you take that, I'm not, that song is getting hot in here and what it means now versus what it meant, 20 something years ago.
hmm
It's a little different.
And you know what? If you are still singing that song and trying to apply its same meaning now, that's where we have noticed a lot of people getting hung up, right? Because they're trying to be 25 in their 50-year-old body.
Mhm.
And when things don't work the same, then they feel like something's gone wrong. And that itself takes them down, it can take them into a spiral, can take them, spiraling out of control to believing something is wrong with me, and then wanting to fix ourselves back to 25
Yeah.
instead of embracing ourselves at the 50 plus, whatever your fall season is. And I think that that's the magic. I think that's the beautiful thing in letting yourself be where you are. And then how do we navigate it now? Um, rather than having expectations of how you are now should be how you were then.
Yeah.
Um, so in the fall season, in then allowing ourselves to be the mature, experienced, capable individuals that we are, if we listen to our bodies, we simply might find pleasure calling out in a slightly different way,
Mm.
um, and then accessing it differently. But when we do, the beautiful thing is we use our voice to ask for what we want. And all too often, in so many other areas of our life, that silencing of ourselves and going along with things can lead us down to being someone we don't want. And so this season is also another wonderful opportunity to step into who you are and let her be her. Use your voice, know what you want, not just go along with the flow for what makes someone else happy, but recognizing that this is a great opportunity for you to experience your pleasure, someone else experience theirs, and it's not an either or.
It's not an either or. Okay, so
Mhm.
so many incredible pearls of wisdom and everything else that you just dropped there. I think one of the first things that I have to remember is that you're talking about like this season is not that season, right? And
Mhm.
so when we spend a lot of time saying that the only season that works and matters is the summer season, that we lose perspective of the value in the fall season and how amazing that is. When we
Mhm.
say like our sexual intimacy needs to look like it looked when we were 25, we're missing the fact that all the experience, all of our wisdom, all of our knowledge, everything that we have gained over the course of the last 25 years it's being kind of pushed to the side, right?
Mhm.
Or it's not like being allowed to be integrated so that we come up
Mhm.
with our new version of what sexual intimacy looks like now in our 50s, right? So, like, if we
Mhm.
say that it has to be a certain way and we have to look back at summer and say summer is the only thing that matters, imagine a summer were all year round, you know? Like, we
Mhm.
need the stuff that happens in the spring. We need the like, the planting of the seeds. We need the rain that happens in the spring. We need all of that
Mhm.
in order for our bounty of crops and flowing and pleasure and love and all that stuff to
Mhm.
happen during the summer, and we reap the benefit of it all. So, all the work that we've done spring, summer, and into the fall, like, we get to reap the benefit of it and be like,
Mhm.
"Okay, we are going to have such succulent wonderful, amazing, pleasurable sexual intimacy now, right? It's like,
Cheers.
cheers, cheers. I got some water for that. Cheers.
Cheers.
So we get to reap the benefits of it really and like recognize from a place of having more wisdom about things. And all we have to
Mhm.
do, the price that needs to be paid is one of acceptance of where we are and that we
Mhm.
don't necessarily need to go back. We don't necessarily need to be in the clubs dancing in a like a see-through shirt and a bra at this point.
'Cause that had its purpose. That season also had its purpose, right?
It
And,
did.
number 1, if I tried to do that, I'd be too tired. Like, I'm winding down and getting ready for bed at 9 o'clock at night. Are you kidding? And then I talk to people who are, like, heading out at 11 o'clock to go party. Just thinking about that makes me tired. I'm like, "Are you what? How are you gonna wake up and work the next day?" But there's also in this season a lot more responsibility where those attentions are divided, the stressors, we have different
Yeah.
stressors. And so it is not it is apples and Volkswagens. It is not, two different types of apples. It's not the same comparison.
It's
Um
so true. I remember being out all night at the club and then out having additional fun after that, and, like, getting up in the morning and going on call in the hospital for another this is like 36 hours because back then you did 36 hours straight, and,
Mhm.
like, just rolling with it, Not what's gonna happen today, where, like, I'm like, "Oh, it's 8 o'clock. Things are winding down a little bit. I think I need
Mhm.
a little bit of a nap here," Um,
Mhm.
and that's okay. That gets to be okay. And,
Totally.
yeah, and luckily for me, they still have tea dances in the middle of the day, so you can still get your groove on and be in bed by 9 o'clock at night so that you're at work the next day, right? And also that's
Yay.
like what our sexual intimacy gets to look like as well, right? We get to
Mhm.
modify it for what's happening in our lives now. And you're right, like there's more stress, there's more jobs, there's more all sorts of things that we're dealing with at this point in time. So
Mhm.
the question becomes like, yeah, does that sexual intimacy, your fall sexual intimacy, does that look like, does autumn look good for you?
Yeah, autumn does. And here's another point I think it's important for us to make, and that is when you're comparing those seasons, you're also then not really in the present.
Yeah.
And being in the present, if your if your mind is off about it should look differently by comparing to the past or comparing to some nebulous idea in the future, even though you might not be able to define it, then you're not present, and it's really hard to enjoy the now and pull and just enjoy all the pleasure that's available now if you're not mentally and emotionally and physically present so that you could take all that in. And then you can relax into now. And I think maybe that might just be also a phrase is like, when I got past that comparison, when I got comfortable not worrying about what my husband was thinking about, um, because he didn't, but the same different thoughts I might have had about my body or about my experience and wondering, is that enough? Or is he happy? Or is he just being nice? Or whatever that was. When I just like, you know what, I'm going to stop this conversation that he's not having with me. It's
Yeah.
just going on in my head.
Yeah, it's your conversation with yourself. Like he's over there going, how do I get with Donna? She's looking mighty fine today, right? And you're over here going,
Yes.
oh my goodness, this role, this, that, this isn't
Mm-hmm.
gonna work. No, I'm not. No. He's probably thinking this about my bottom, like all this stuff that he's not. He's like
Yeah.
one track mind. How do I get with this delicious woman, right? Like he's not spending
And he
all
would say
that.
absolutely yes, right? If you were interviewing him, he'd be like, yeah, that's it. It's just like that.
Yeah, yeah.
If we could only see ourselves the way our partners see
Wouldn't that be
us,
wonderful
right?
if we had, like, some, like, glasses, our partner glasses that we could put on and see
Mhm.
ourselves when we looked in the mirror, right? And really have
Mhm.
an understanding of how much our partners love and adore us and think that
Mhm.
we are amazing and beautiful and wonderful. And, by the way, if your partner doesn't think you're amazing, beautiful, and wonderful, get a new partner. Like, dump that one or don't share your body with that one because that's not the one, right?
Mhm.
Because, you want the partner that's excited when they see you,
Mhm.
excited when they see you naked. That's like, "Oh, goody, we're gonna have some fun." That's the kind of partner that you want.
Mhm.
The funny thing was I was coaching somebody. I was in a small group doing some coaching, and they were talking about how they have a problem having their partner touch their rolls of fat on their belly or whatever,
Mhm.
right?
Those love
And I
handles or
thought to
whatever.
yeah,
Mhm.
the love handles, right? And I was thinking to myself, rolls, what if those were like bakery rolls that you were selling in the like exclusive bakery shop, you know?
I'm
Like
starting to salivate already, yeah.
right? Like, what if we actually saw the rolls in our body as like these beautiful things, like a beautiful dinner
Delicious.
roll with like with like lots of butter next to it,
Put some butter
crispy
on it.
on the outside, right? Like, like just like ready to chomp into and be like, "Ooh, these are the best rolls ever," right? What if we saw ourselves that way? What if we saw our roles that way? Because like our roles, like we have rules around our roles. And our poor partners are like, would just like to fill them up some rules. And we got don't touch the roll rules, right?
Mhm.
We got don't look at the roll rules. We got don't
Mhm.
feel the roll rules. We don't talk about the roll rules. And they would just like to be like, can I have
Could I touch it,
10
please?
dozen? Yeah, can I touch it, please? Can I order 10 dozen of the rolls? Because
Mm.
that's like, ooh, that's that fresh bakeries. Ooh, you know,
It's like I'm sorry, but it's like the Krispy Kreme donuts, are hot donuts now. That's
I've
all they
done it
see. They're
now,
like,
right?
"Ooh, yes." And also, just to touch on that little comment, I wanna share again that I've lived in cultures where it was actually the sign of a good provider for the
Mhm.
woman to be a really good sized woman. And if your woman was skinny, it was a reflection that you weren't a good provider. So she
Or
wanted to
like
be
she's just
big.
not healthy and she can't necessarily reproduce or all these different things that go with being
Exactly.
beautiful and voluptuous.
Mhm.
And it's always in the areas that make a woman look a woman, like make them like it's this weird thing where society wants us to be women, but don't want us to look like women at the same time, you know? Like we need to be stick figure type of thing.
Like real women. Mhm.
Yeah, like, what the is up with that? Like, that is just if you think about it, it's just like, uh, okay, like, I could say a catch-22, but I think it's more fuckery than a catch-22. It's to keep us, like, obsessed with, like, it's like spinning on a hamster wheel, right? You're a woman,
Mhm,
you have a woman's body, and then society says that you shouldn't look like a woman. You should look like a smaller version of a woman, or you
mhm.
shouldn't really look like a woman. But okay, I feel like I am getting away from the seasons, but you know,
But I'll transition us right back because this your comment there reminds me that it's probably been 30 years, um, or 27-ish years, but because this comment stuck in my head. Um, so I would have been, in my 30s, and I said something offhand, I didn't even know I don't it's not even important what that was, but it prompted a friend of mine to say, "Donna, the older you get, the less you care what anybody thinks." And I would say that that does start becoming even more true in this, as we're talking today, this fall season, where maybe I think, listeners will have their own application of how you get to that and the reasons why, but maybe it's from having been striving after that illusion of what you're talking about, frustrated with trying to be something that's and coming to terms with, um, how that's not reality. We compare ourselves to before, we used to say photoshopped or brushed pictures so that the models and the covers of the magazines look so perfect. And now it can even be AI generated, right? We're comparing ourselves and it's a battle we can't win. Um, and spend all that time and you finally get tired of chasing that image and idea when you also recognize that the longer you chase that, the more you're consistently communicating back to yourself, I'm not okay as I am. Something is wrong with me. And you get tired of chasing that. And when you come, I think when you come to terms with that, when you're able to live in the now, when you're able to be with you as you are,
yes.
um, then there's less chasing, period.
Yeah, and I would agree with that, and I think, there's so many things that happen that you end up doing the less chasing, right?
Mhm,
One is definitely, like, there's less estrogen in your system, right? And
mhm,
you don't care as much. That's part of it. You realize that it's been some bullshit that you've been promised, that if you look a certain way, if you starve yourself, if you've gotta exercise, if you do all these things that you need to do, not that I'm saying exercise is a problem, that's great, but if your purpose is in order to stay at this really small size that is not
mhm,
necessarily realistic, then you realize, why am I doing that? You know,
mhm,
you realize, like, there's some promises that are made, like, your life will be fabulous and wonderful if you're beautiful and perfect and you match this concept, and then
mhm,
you do and you strive all the things that you can to match that concept, and at some point, you will realize your life will never be better or worse because of the size that you are. It will
mhm,
be better or worse because of the person that you are, and then, yes, this also goes to the size of the penis, because like, let's talk about it. Like, for women, we're told that we need to be a size 4 or something like that. And for men, they're told that they need to be extra large in size and things like that. You know, I really would not be that interested in an extra large penis at this point in my life. You know? So
I believe that. I totally believe that.
So I think part of it is like, well, I have a fabulous partner, so I'm happy. But like, if I were on the market for a partner, I would not be doing it by penis size. At this point, I am going to be
Mhm,
doing it by like, is this a good person? You know, can I have
yeah,
a conversation? Could I laugh with this person? I honestly don't even care if they have an erection or not, because I know that's the least of the concerns. And there's lots of erection stuff in the toy store that can be brought in for lots of
mhm,
pleasure and things like that. For me, it really doesn't matter if somebody's dealing with ED or something like that. Are you a good person? Are you a
mhm,
decent person? Are you a person that I would love to share my life with, those are
Yeah.
the important things. And
Mhm.
so I don't know, I think as men get older as well, that they're maybe less inclined to be focused on the size of their partner. Maybe they still are, they may be in the look of
Mm.
the things. But I know a lot of women are like, am I happy? Can I eat this damn donut? Can I enjoy my life? Can I have
Mhm.
succulent, wonderful sex? Like those are the important things
Yes.
in life.
Those could
And
be,
also
yes.
getting back to this concept of not caring as much, I think when you're in the fall headed to the winter, you're thinking about your legacy in life as well.
Mhm.
And so obviously your health is important. That's always going to be important, right? But at the same time, like showing up perfectly, you get tired of showing up perfectly. Showing up authentically, that's always
There
going
you
to be there. That's always going to be something
yeah.
that women would like and would strive for. And honestly, when your estrogen is dropping, authenticity is all you got left, right? And,
I think showing up authentically is showing up perfectly or ideally or,
yeah,
yeah. It's,
yeah.
um and when you also going back, part of the thing that affects the season, like, it may be helpful to understand what's driving those seasons because
Oh,
one of the things driving those early seasons is part of being human and being part of humanity is
yeah,
procreation. It's
yeah.
survival and so there literally are visual cues to us about a good partner. For us women, there are things that are important to us, and for men, there are things that are important to them about us. And then you mate like monkeys, boom, 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 because now you also have a lot more energy and that's the season to do that. And you may even think of it as a gift of the survival of the human species is also the pleasure that comes along with all the takes that don't end up with pregnancy. But so let's have fun along the way in procreating. But that's an important part of that season. And having someone one of the things that we learn, and I see this often in women in this season and coming into this season, no pun intended, is that, where they were emotionally and psychologically and some of the other things they were looking for kind of propelled, um, the mate they chose. And they get to this more honest season where we're more honestly ourselves, express what we want, and understand more about ourselves and realize, if only I knew then what I know now, right? Then there's that authenticity, and you're having the rich, rewarding, deeper relationships. Um, and those are the things then that we really lean on in this season to continue on is, do I even like being around you? Oh.
Like, and that I think brings up something that's really interesting is like we are in the like fall, winter time, somewhere in that place, right?
Mhm,
This younger generation of women are in their spring, summer, but a lot of them are opting out from relationships. A lot of them are opting out from like
mm,
partners and it's interesting to see what their fall is gonna look like, What
mhm,
it's
yeah,
like you talk about this urge for the mate during your spring, summer time, right? But I see so many women that are like, "It's not worth it anymore, and I don't necessarily want children." There's, like, a lot of people that are
mhm,
opting out, like, I think they said there's some sort of statistic, and don't I can't remember where I heard this. So, like, but this concept that there's more women under 30 now that don't have children than have children,
mm,
I think in the
mm,
United or
which
maybe
is
the world.
powerful.
Yeah, so,
Mhm,
that's really interesting. I mean, that's telling and that's things are shifting. I don't actually know if I would want to start having kids right now in this world, I don't know if I'd wanna bring them into this world. There's a lot of stuff that's happening there. So, it remains to be seen what spring, summer, fall, and winter looks like, for this younger generation, as they go through
Mhm.
the stages, right? And as they decide, do I want to procreate or do I just want to stay in my apartment with my cat and enjoy life and travel and do everything that I want to? It's a
Mhm.
major investment that does not stop. And children don't leave home like they used to, right? So there's a lot of different things that
Well,
are happening for
yeah.
they don't, some do, but there's a lot of failure to launch now because it's really expensive out there, and, some people are not equipped with the social skills, because it's been
Mhm.
10 years of being in your room on a computer and things like that, and, there's a
Mhm.
lot that they say about this younger generation of guys in particular, uh, and, um and then just the whole dating scene, right? Like, do
Mm.
you really wanna go out to the club? Like, I talked about the club 20 years ago, you would just go out to the club and come home, and you more or less would be safe, right? But now you have to go
Mhm.
out to the club, and you have to buy little things to put on top of your drink so that nobody drugs you, right? So then you're like, "Maybe,
Mhm.
like, maybe I'm not going out to the club, or if I go out to the club, I'm not drinking," and
Yeah.
so this whole experience looks a little different than it did before. So it's going to be interesting to see what spring, summer, fall, and winter look like for this younger generation. But for us,
Mhm.
we can look back fondly at things that decisions and mistakes that we made in the past in our spring and summer that ended up being okay, and then we
Yeah,
kind
it's okay.
there, right?
Mhm.
So as we are in this fall now, we get to be like, okay, what do we want fall to be like? Like, I love
Mhm.
the idea of it being rich and wonderful and amazing and just
Mhm.
authentic. I know I've used that word before. And then what do you want your winter to look like, right? Because I had this friend, Evelyn Rush, and she's maybe 10 years older than me, maybe 6 to 10 years older, so she's heading into the winter time, and,
Mhm.
um, and hopefully I'll have her on the podcast, but,
Oh,
she has
yeah.
a different perspective on life too, so people that are in, that late 60s, 70s, 80s time, you know,
Mhm.
uh intimacy looks different again. So we get to go through these all these different stages and we get to ask ourselves, what do we want our intimacy to look like as we go through all these different seasons?
Yeah, and intimacy is uh the physical acts of intimacy are one thing, but
Mm,
intimacy itself is also a broader topic because the one thing that I notice for me is one of the things I've done is really brought in a lot more constraint in my
mm,
life so that my attention and the demands of me are really quite focused. And I have been, especially for the last year and a half, um, have been very attentive to that and recognizing the impact of one thing. If I just quickly say a yes to something, I didn't used to kind of think about what that would take of me,
yeah,
require of me, the
yeah,
energy, the attention, the emotional currency
yeah,
to do that. I would just sign up and do things. And now as I'm more attentive to that, I'm also less stressed. Because if so work is one thing, business is one thing. And then if I sign up for other projects, volunteer opportunities, then that is a season of which there can be more uh, stress and pressure and definitely physical demands. So that how thin do I want to spread myself out?
yeah,
Because I also notice I have a harder time being relaxed and physically present
yeah,
when I am spread thin like that. It's hard to compartmentalize. And so, emotional intimacy is harder from a position of being more physically and emotionally stressed because intimacy requires kind of, for me, it's not this very intense emotion, it's a more settled, solid, peaceful place of being. And making space for that. And that then allows me to, whether it's just a pat on the butt as we're walking through the house or a long hug or stopping to be notice something and say something about him or even take time for a compliment. So really, in a nutshell, that just goes back to having the emotional bandwidth for
Mm.
intimacy that then also for me as a woman opens me up to be physically present for intimacy. And I want
Yeah.
us to make sure we look at that broader topic and consider that broader topic, um, because intimacy is not just in the bedroom.
That's so true, and, I'm glad that you brought this up before we, like, close it for the session. Yeah, intimacy is not just in the bedroom. There's the emotional intimacy, there's the connection, there's the physical intimacy, and all that needs to be, like, something that is in continuity, right? So, if you don't
Hmm.
have the emotional connection, if you don't have the initial physical connection early on, then it's harder to get to that point of having the sexual intimacy later on. And I always say that sexual intimacy is based on overall intimacy, which is based on a foundation of communication. So you're
Mm,
definitely talking my language.
hmm.
So
Good stuff.
yes, and getting back to like a point that you're saying about having the bandwidth, like self-care is part of this, having the self-care, care enough about yourself and self-compassion enough to recognize, do I have the bandwidth, emotional and physical bandwidth to do all these number of different things, right? And so that's something when we're in our spring and summer we may not necessarily ask, but when
Uh-huh.
now we're not as focused on people pleasing where we might have been earlier on. So we might have said
Hmm.
more yes previously in the spring summer, and now we're like, what does Sonia want? What does Donna want? What does my diamond want? And so that's gonna
Hmm.
look a little different for what we say yes to now, right? And
Hmm.
so definitely that is something that's important. Okay, we are getting close to wrapping it up. Now, Coach Donna, do you want to say something else? Any final words that you would like to put out there about intimacy in the seasons?
Yeah, I think it for me. I touched on it, but I think it's being able to be in the here and now, um, loving who you are, and allowing her to let that individual out, be seen, be cared about. Um, Because that for me is the beginning of intimacy, being honest with yourself, being present, um, and so you can enjoy. I say you have to be present to win, and, I think that
I like
really
that.
applies, in a
You
nutshell. You have
do.
to be present to win. So, I want you to win, and, there is a lot of opportunity to enjoy this season, revel in it and embrace it and just make the most of it.
Yes, 100%. Okay. Donna Jennings, thank you so much for being on today's podcast. And where can people reach you if they want to connect with you some more?
Oh my gosh, you can check out my website at donnajenningscoaching.com. You can email at support@donnajenningscoaching.com if you want to. And I'm on Facebook at donnajenningscoaching.com and Instagram there. Um, and then also my podcast, The Art of Abundant Living. So
So
yeah.
good. I love it. And of
Yeah.
course, Coach Donna is part of the Diamond Intimacy Collective. So
Hmm.
she is always there with doing the book clubs. We do the book clubs together, so you can always hear. And then if she is available, she comes into the pajama parties as well.
Hmm.
And so you will see her. And then she's also in the comments of the Diamond Intimacy Collective in the community. Okay. Thank you so much, Coach Donna, for showing up
You're
and being here
welcome.
as we talk about the seasons. Okay, Diamonds. Love
Thank
you
you.
so much. Dr. Sonia and Coach Donna out. Take care. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today on the Midlife Sex Coach for Women podcast. If today's episode resonated with you, I want you to remember this. Your body is not failing you, and not tonight is not the end of intimacy. You may be just heading into a new season of intimacy. This is information, it's communication. It's an invitation to get curious instead of critical. The midlife intimacy is not about forcing yourself into desire. It's about understanding yourself in a deeper way than ever before. And my beautiful diamond, that changes everything. If you're ready to continue this work with support, community, and deeper guidance, I'd love to guide you into the Diamond Intimacy Collective. Inside the collective, we're having real conversations about intimacy, desire, relationships, emotions, nervous system regulation, pleasure, and what it truly means to reconnect with yourself in midlife. As you know, we have Q&As and pajama parties and coaching. And now we have introduced new foundational intimacy modules. So there's learning as well. There's so much happening here, and you get to create amazing intimacy for the next 30 years of your life. You don't have to do this alone. Look at the show notes in order to learn more about the Diamond Intimacy Collective. And if this episode helped you today, make sure you subscribe, leave a review, and share it with another woman who needs to hear this message. Because we are changing the conversation around intimacy in midlife, one diamond at a time. Lots of love, and remember, your pleasure matters. Dr. Sonia out.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Midlife Sex Coach for Women podcast. If you enjoyed Dr. Sonia's fun and caring approach to sexual intimacy, head to SoniaWrightMD.com to learn more.